Good afternoon and welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Tuesday, October 17th. Frank Granito in studio alongside Kevin Coleman. We got a busy show coming up. Some soccer to break down from Monday afternoon. We're also going to go through the standings as the playoff push continues to get tighter and tighter, especially with a couple of big upsets yesterday. John Kovacs will join us later on. He wants to shed light on a big weekend of FCX football that we saw. And of course, at the end of the show today, we're going to get you ready for tomorrow's cross-country championships as the entire FCX will descend upon Waveney Park. But first, Kevin, a little bit of controversy down at Kennedy Stadium yesterday. Let's just start with the bizarre non-start to that game after the refs almost called it due to illegal nets.
It was a very bizarre way to start yesterday's broadcast, but for FCX boys soccer. But we were down at Bridgeport Central, and once the referees got there, the first thing that they do is they start inspecting the field and inspecting the goals. Immediately right away, it caught their eye that there were some things around both nets that they didn't like, that they thought weren't to players' safety. And so they spent some time with both coaching staffs and being on the phone with athletic directors, and Dave Schultz, commissioner of the FCX, even came down and took a look at the nets. Finally, they were able to resolve it, taped up some of the holes that were in the nets as well. And finally, after 45 minutes, maybe close to an hour, we finally were able to get underway with some soccer. And just an unfortunate way, and just speaking to some of the coaches and even myself, been around the game for a while, I've never seen a start to a game like that. And just speaking to the head officials, he came very close, and I mean probably this close to just calling the game. We
were standing in the bleachers there, and we got the sense something was going on. We're getting ready, and you could see the official almost waving his arms like, I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm not doing it. Coach Jay Salvatore of Central was, Jay Silverman, I'm sorry, of Central couldn't believe it. And the underlying story here is, and we can get into it in full detail on another day, this is just one of the many surrounding issues going on with the Bridgeport schools right now. It's not that difficult to come across soccer nets, I'm sorry. Or at least have the necessary requirements to have safe soccer nets.
You're absolutely 100% right. And speaking to Coach Silverman, it's frustrating because even speaking to me, he was telling me how he's been confronting the athletic director a bunch of times, asking for new nets, asking for even just new netting. You don't need to worry about the posts. I mean, yes, those posts need some work to be done, but I think just in general, they need new nets because, my goodness, you can't show up to a field like that and have holes in those. So to have your own coach be frustrated like that, it is a little frustrating. It's disappointing as well because that's a bad reflection on a good team like Bridgeport Central. So I think that it's something that they're definitely going to address, because the fact that Dave Schultz saw that yesterday, he knows, so he's going to address something. So hopefully within the next week or two, I hope, maybe even less, that they finally resolve some of the netting here at Bridgeport Central. 4 games remaining in the regular season, and you almost had to forfeit that game because of an equipment issue, which just in a competitive conference like the FCX with the state of high school sports right now, and I know there's a lot going on in Bridgeport behind the scenes that takes priority over this, but it's unfair to the kids, especially now when we shift to the game here, Kev, and you think about how well Bridgeport Central played. I thought it was one of the best games of soccer, start to finish, we have seen a team put together all year long. Oh, fully agree. I think just the type of game they play was so smooth. Playing defeat, playing simple, playing the right type of soccer. It was breathtaking to really watch on the pitch. It was a lot of fun, and to see what Bridgeport Central was able to do, it really was nice to see. And again, Bridgeport Central, despite their record, Frank, this was an outstanding performance. They stretched the field, and we talked about it during the broadcast. I've emphasized this all season long so far. With the 3 or 4 games we've done already, teams are not switching the field. They're not emphasizing the magnitude of what they have in front of them pitch-wise. And it's finally nice to see a team like Bridgeport Central, if they need to, play in the back, play back to their keeper, restart, switch the field, and it's nice to see that they're doing this. And yesterday, it was on full display. And how about Jonathan Gomes? This kid is unbelievable. Sophomore year, one of the best players on Bridgeport Central. Junior year, goes and plays academy at Beachside, comes back his senior year, even better than he was his sophomore year. Clearly, the academy helped because this guy has a lot of talent, tucking away two goals with the first goal. A beautiful through ball to him, just a little flick, and it's in the back, and that it's a world-class finish from Jonathan Gomes.
I thought that Central got play top to bottom. Their best players stepped up and made plays. Their role players were huge. They got depth scoring across the board. But you're right, just in a season where teams have struggled to find offense, it was a breath of fresh air to see a team really focus on controlling possession, passing those short passes, and it was the ability to switch the field, to manipulate through that Trinity Catholic defense that led to their offensive chances. They capitalized on their opportunities. It was as close to a perfect game as we have seen, and it was fun to watch. And it's not a knock on Trinity, because I don't think the Crusaders played that poorly. It was just a very unfortunate set of circumstances for Coach Mike Martino. I'm going to give you a second to talk about that. First, though, let's look at the highlights. 5-1, the Hilltoppers take down the Crusaders at Kennedy Stadium yesterday.
A world-class save.
Good help from the defense, too, clearing this one away. But now a corner opportunity towards the net, and the Hilltoppers are on the board.
Oh, beautiful finish with the head there. Oh, lovely ball for Ortega.
Opportunity for Gomes. Chips it up, and it's 2-0. Absolute beauty. Ready to toy with Benitez. Smolak now denying Josh Smith. Got through, though, and able to finish is Santos, alone in front of the cage.
Yes. No pressure at all. Trinity's got to step to the ball.
Smith lets one go, and he puts it into the right side of the cage. With the left foot, the senior with a big finish. Call it even for the burn I had on you in Nutmeg. Is this one given away? Callie in space, shot, and he will finish. A careless mistake from Central, and the captain, Callie, comes away with the goal.
Oh, nice little dummy.
That will be the icing on the cake. Gomes adds his second. A beautiful little outside flick. And it is 5-1 Central.
So there you have it. A lot of offense from a lot of players for Central. We talked a little bit, Kev, about Trinity Catholic, the circumstances they had to go through there. It's that long bus ride up from Stanford. Then you go through warm-ups. You're ready to play, and all of a sudden now you got a 45-minute delay. We talked a little bit after the game yesterday. Would you be surprised if we maybe saw an appeal and a protest to that game?
I wouldn't be surprised, considering the outcome of what happened. Not at all. Why wouldn't you? You need the points. And I don't see why you wouldn't. Again, the one thing I'm disappointed in is that Trinity at times, you talk about how Bridgeport Central really controlled the entire game. Well, it's because Trinity Catholic didn't step to the ball. And you look at what Bridgeport Central was able to gain possession. Their first touches also were incredible yesterday. They were on point. And when Bridgeport Central was able to control the ball, get their first touch cleanly, Trinity Catholic's not there to step to the ball. They're giving Central a few seconds to think about the next play, where they're going to, and that's how you get burned. That's how you get beat. For Trinity Catholic, once they got their first touch, Central was right there on them. That's why you saw them lose the ball many times. So, again, this is a Bridgeport Central team. We talked about it a little yesterday. I think this is a team, if they're able to sneak into the FCIAC playoffs, a dangerous team. But they're also a dangerous team once they get into the CIAC tournament. That's a team you do not want to play in the first or second round.
They're going to need to have a very strong finish to the year. Trinity, unfortunately, eliminated from FCIAC contention. Now they will not be able to make this FCIAC postseason. Central has 3 games remaining. They're 6 points out of the 8th and final spot. They play Stanford, Trumbull, and McMahon. 2 very tough games, but there is ground to be gained, Kev. It'll be an exciting finish down the stretch for boys soccer. We're going to step aside here quickly on Nutmeg Sports. When we get back, John Kovac will join Kevin and myself. We're going to look back and get John's opinion on this past weekend of FCIAC football. It's coming up next on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
We know it's your busy season, and that's why Walter Stewart's Market is here to make things easy by offering the best of autumn under one roof. Walter Stewart's Market is your local one-stop fall shop. There are so many seasonal flavors to savor, and Stewart's has them all. From Blue Jay Orchard's local cider donuts to Vermont Farmstead cheddar and all of your favorite varieties of local apples and pears. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, and find us at stewartsmarket.com.
Want a new experience in car buying? No aggravation, no confrontation, just answers to all your questions. Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Car buying the way you want it to be. With one of the largest selections of new 2- and 4-door Jeep Wranglers available, we are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Located in Fairfield, Connecticut, we're easy to get to. Just 2.5 miles off the Merritt Parkway, exit 44 via Route 58 South. Save thousands right now during the Jeep Celebration event and Ram Power Days. Now through October 31st.
At Black Horse Garage, we fulfill all your sports car needs. We specialize in manufacturer-recommended service and aftermarket high-performance parts and installation. We have one of the nation's top storage facilities and offer a high-end collision department that understands your need for detail. Visit blackhorsegarage.com for more.
The Kitchen Center offers quality cabinetry and affordable pricing. Visit our showroom for a free consultation with our professional design staff. For all your other home improvement needs, visit Northeast Building Supply, our full-service lumberyard and window showroom. The Kitchen Center, a division of Northeast Building Supply, 1470 Barnum Avenue, Bridgeport.
Dr. Stephen Molinaro and Peter Healy of Family Practice Dentistry and Laser Dental Care have served Ridgefield for over 22 years. Experienced staff offer gentle drillless techniques, preventative care, and cosmetic procedures in a relaxed environment. Grateful for the community's trust and support through the years, new patients and their families are welcome. Call today.
We know it's your busy.
Back on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network, and we are happy to welcome in John Kovach now as we look back at what was a very exciting and clearly a moving weekend in the FCX, John, for football. Some big games, some big surprises, some big comebacks across the board. I think we learned a lot about the conference as a whole this year.
I think we learned a lot about certain teams. I think if there was any doubt that Greenwich was for real, and I don't think there was any, that was erased. I mean, that's a statement win for that program, saying they're back near the top of the state of Connecticut, where they were for so long. What do you say about St. Joe's and Ridgefield?
It's bizarre, and I just think that one, Ridgefield is a much better team than that fourth quarter showed, but at the same time, that just gives you a sense of there's Darien, then Greenwich, St. Joe's, and everybody else.
Yes. Yeah. And everybody else, it's rare to say this, everybody else includes New Canaan, who's at 3-2, and who looked, as somebody who's been around FCAC football for a long time, shockingly undisciplined for a New Canaan team on Saturday.
But it's not that shocking, especially when you think about the fact that week one, they had 18 penalties. Their two losses now, they've combined for 34 penalties. And at some point in time, the Fountain of Youth, the Magic Fountain, whatever this has been, it had to run out eventually. Yeah, I'm sorry, but you're not going to win 5, 6, 7, 8 state championships in a row. At some point in time, the streak will end. Someday, Darien will lose. They're not going to win for the rest of eternity. So, yes, it's shocking. They've come back down to earth. But that being said, and I'm not throwing in a towel.
It's not that they've come back to earth that shocked me. It's that some these penalties are eminently preventable with focus. With there's a full start is preventable. Unsportsmanlike conduct is the most preventable penalty in the game.
And I would not be shocked if they led the state right now in unsportsmanlike penalties. They have a lot of them, a lot of personal fouls, and look, we watched the roughing the passer penalty. It was suspect. You go back, you watch that St. Joe's film. There are a couple of defensive pass interference penalties I thought you could have got away with. But nonetheless, don't put yourself in a position where the refs can make a call.
Thank you.
That's it.
Exactly. Don't put if you take care of business, you're not in a position where an official's call can affect the outcome. And that's where you have to put yourself.
What say you there, Fuzzy Britches?
I don't know. I'm just fascinated by John's blue today. I guess.
Leave my blue out of it.
Oh, it's smart. You better get on the Darien bandwagon now because it's looking like the wave is crashing down again. Look, Darien rolled through Staples the other night. I think that everyone now is hoping for and anticipating Greenwich, Darien. You can finish 1-2 in the state and at least put them on a crash course for the state championship game. But after we saw that Staples game, I said to you guys, you don't beat Darien by trying to slow them down. It's not a team that you're going to outlast or just hold to 7 points and find a way to score 10. Whoever beats Darien is going to do it 45-42, 50-49. It is going to be a shootout. You've got to go toe-to-toe with them and just say, here we go. Guns a-blazing right now.
And you got to play discipline, too. You can't have the penalties like we saw Staples have. You had the great drive of Danny Thompson making that 40-yard run. And look, again, they got pulled all the way back past the 50-yard line, which is disappointing, considering they had a great drive going. And that's what you're right. They have to play a perfect game. You have to go toe-to-toe.
You're going to have to.
We didn't see that Friday with Staples.
No, not at all. And again, we talk about penalties. They had a chance to grab some momentum. Would it have been enough momentum to stop the wave? Probably not. No, but you make a great play. Your quarterback bangs out a 40-yard run. You're in Darien territory, and you've got a chance to get on the board right before the half. And Knife have talked to death about how big that late score is. And you come out and on 4 trips to the line get 4 different penalties.
It was maddening to watch. My question for you now, Staples and Norwalk this week, John. Norwalk coming off the win against Trumbull. Who is your early favorite in that one?
I mean, it's a tough call. It really is.
Does the status of A.J. Hall affect your decision?
Status of A.J. Hall affects the decision. If A.J. Hall is healthy, I probably don't hesitate to say Norwalk. Right now, Staples has to get its bearings back. It's got to get its balance back. It's like that, it's a little wobbly, and it's got to find its balance again. And I'm sure they're working hard to get there, knowing Mars Petrocchio, knowing the history of that program. But I got to think that if they have A.J. Hall, Norwalk's got a better quick strike, I think.
That's fair. Ridgefield and Wilton now featuring 2 teams that are 3-2. Ridgefield taking a little bit of the hype out of this game, but Coach Kevin Callahan talking about how they were in a similar situation last year, losing week 2 to New Canaan, then losing around this time against St. Joe's. What do you think about Ridgefield here having the opportunity to run the table and still qualify for states? Either one of you, go ahead.
I like their chances. I mean, they're back at home. It's homecoming. I think they'll bounce back. Disappointing loss, I think, against St. Joe's. And I like that, having the lead in the 4th quarter. But against a Wilton team who I think if they stop Harvey Alexander in the run, I think this is a Ridgefield team that can, get home, bring home the win on Saturday afternoon. But they have to realize that Wilton relies heavily on the run game, so if they can stop that, which at times they've done, I think the Tigers can pull this one out.
I think if Ridgefield gets the win against against Ridgefield, if Ridgefield gets the win against Wilton, let's get that straight
there
first.
You go.
Ridgefield gets the win against Wilton. That's a good points pay and win for them. 3 wins already for the Warriors, and they're positioned to pick up more.
Greenwich is still linked.
Absent Greenwich, there's no reason to think the Tigers can't run the table because they're going to be favored against McMahon. They're going to be favored against Ward, though that could be an interesting game. And they're going to be favored against Danbury.
I'd say that we can agree, though, no 3-loss team is getting into the state tournament this year. That seems realistic.
Yeah.
They have an uphill fight. I think that's realistic. And the team we're not talking about right now, Fairfield Ward's won 2 straight. Yeah, they've got Danbury on the horizon. But Fairfield Ward's at 3-2 right now.
And it seems like they got a pretty favorable matchup, the rest of the season.
Well, they got Darien.
Still have Darien. They still have Ridgefield. Staples is a tough game.
Look, I think Ward's doing a good job. I'm not 100% sold on Ward yet. I don't want to get on that bandwagon quite yet.
No, but I want to mention them. I mean, they just pitched their first shutout.
Yeah, first shutout in 8 years.
Yep.
It's a great defensive effort. Joe Janage is one of our Athlete of the Week nominees. Greenwich gets West Hill coming off the bye. The Vikings now 4-1. They are second place alone behind Greenwich in the West Division, but we saw what happened against New Canaan. Does the bye help the Vikings close the gap with the Cardinals, or does Greenwich continue to just fly?
Greenwich, the Cards are going to fly high on this weekend. This offense is just too much, and they're a lot of fun to watch. Gavin Muir looks great in the pocket. He's got Jael Negron, which is a great guy to have to rely on 3rd and short, and a guy that he can go deep with. I like this Greenwich team right now. They're rolling.
This is a West Hill team that's going in the right direction. They're doing a lot of things right. But I don't think they're ready to take this Greenwich team. This Greenwich team is undefeated. They've shown me no indication that they're going to slow down. Correct me if I'm wrong, Frank, but one of the things that we've seen West Hill be suspect about is contain. They will bring the pressure, but they will lose contain. Gavin Muir proved, and if you doubted it, he really proved it late in that game Saturday night.
75 yards.
That he can get the edge on you. If they let Muir get the edge, that's just another weapon for the Cardinals that they haven't used yet.
My big fear is that West Hill gets away from scheme and at a certain point in time just thinks we're going to out-athlete you. They have got tremendous athletes. They've got great skill positions. And sometimes they get into a panic mode of let's just throw a fade. Let's just try to get the ball out to the hands of our receivers, jump ball situations. You can't do that in this game. Establish the run early on. You've got to be good against the screen game of Greenwich. Don't allow them a lot of yards after catch. I think Greenwich will win big, but I think it's bigger than we expect because West Hill forces the issue if they fall behind early.
Yeah, I think if you're West Hill, you might try to match up right at the line. You might try to press Greenwich to take that screen away. And if they beat you in that matchup, if they get a swim on you, if they get a move on you, if they just knock around you and stay on their route, you're going to have a hard time playing catch-up with them.
John, we're going to let you go here. We got to go to a break, but before we do you have any final thoughts? We're going to see you again Thursday to get ready for the FCIAC weekend, but heading into tomorrow's cross-country championship, maybe you'll make an appearance on air?
I may. We will see. Well, I will be there in some form. Around deadline. I do want to mention one thing, and we mentioned it a couple weeks ago, but the Heart of a Giant, Will Parisi of the Fairfield Ludlow Falcons is now one of the nominees for Heart of a Giant. He is in the Week 5 nominees, I believe. So there's a couple of FCIAC guys now in that vote, one from West Hill, one now from Fairfield Ludlow. Show your support for the local guys.
Absolutely, yeah, and we'll tweet out the link for that vote. John, great work as always. Thanks for coming on. We're going to take one more break. When Kevin and I get back on Nutmeg Sports, we've got to preview the FCIAC Cross Country Championships. That's coming up next on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Voted Best Gourmet to Go in Fairfield County, Palmer's extensive menu offers everything you'll need to make your next event easy and delicious. Whether you're hosting a small get-together or planning a large celebration, they've got you covered breakfast through dessert. Order online at palmersdarien.com or call 203-655-2077.
Now teeing off, Paul Miller from Miller Nissan in Fairfield.
Excuse me, Mr. Miller. What about my new Sentra?
Right now, lease a 2017 Sentra S for only $97 a month.
He is never going to retire.
Bankwell combines the best personalized service with high-tech banking features for our customers' convenience. We pride ourselves on being a strong community partner. You don't settle for average in anything else you do. Why settle for an average bank? Don't just bank when you can bank well instead. Visit mybankwell.com for more. Manfredi New Canaan is celebrating 3 exceptional years selling Rolex watches and fine jewelry to the Fairfield County community. We appreciate all our loyal clients and look forward to welcoming and helping you discover the perfect gift to celebrate life's most important occasions.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Registration is now open for our fitness training programs for high school athletes. The InSports Performance Center is offering blast speed classes, athletic functional movement assessments, and both men's and women's elite speed and strength training. Our premier programs help bring athletes to the next level. Call 203-268-1214 for more information. Like and follow us on Facebook.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Thanks again to John Kovacs. Great job with our football analysis. We now quickly turn our attention to the cross-country FCIAC Championships, which will take place tomorrow on Wednesday, October 18th at Waveney Park in New Canaan. Kev, We're obviously going to have a full day of coverage down there, so we'll be quick here before we run out of time. But early favorites right now, Staples, again, looking so good on the boys' side. Their top 5 runners could all finish in the top 15 spots, which would almost lock up another championship there. The girls' side, a little more wide open, excuse me. I think there's a lot more balance there. But what intrigues me most, that girls' race, I'm excited to see who's going to be the overall winner. You've got both your first and second place finishers back from last year. Morgan McCormick of Wilton, of course, needs no introduction. The sophomore in Greenwich, Zoe Harris, finished in second. We're expecting big things from her. There are 4 or 5 names in that girls' race that I think could seriously contend and come away with the win.
You certainly can. Obviously, Morgan McCormick, we got to know her a lot last year, and Zoe Harris, who is actually an Athlete of the Week nominee this week. So those 2 are clear favorites. But you look at Ludlow, I think that's a team that could surprise some people. Danbury, we all know how good they are, both not only on the girls' side, but the boys' side as well. And you can't discredit the Tigers. I mean, they're defending champions. They still have some good runners from last year, obviously graduated a ton, but they bring back some key runners. So I do like the Tigers there. New Canaan, they've always seemed to be in the mix as well in boys and girls cross country, but Staples just looks too dominant right now. It just seems everyone on that boys roster they're just too dominant. I think this is going to be a Staples win on the boys' side this year.
New Canaan has been doing much better over the past few years, specifically with the girls. They came in 5th last year at FCX. The boys are improving as well. I just think you've got the firepower of Will Landown, Christian Myers, Ben Seipel. It's going to be too much for Staples. Something's really got to go drastically wrong there. Obviously, it's not a dark horse. They just won the East Division, but Fairfield Ward. Keep an eye on Fairfield Ward. I think James Maniscalco is going to end up being our overall winner in that race. But the Mustangs, they've started to piece it together. This is a motivated group. I think they could honestly pull a surprise tomorrow, get the upset over the Wreckers.
Well, last year I remember during the cross country championship, I was surprised with the Mustangs. They really hung around. They finished in the top 3 or 5, I believe, if I remember correctly last year. But again, this is going to be a lot of fun tomorrow. Obviously, a full day, and I mean, lots of competition there. But again, on the girls' side, Trumbull 12-3, Wilton 11-4. Obviously Wilton, we know of the firepower and Morgan McCormick, but Trumbull, another team on the girls' side, you should look out for tomorrow with the Eagles.
It'll be a lot of fun. Those varsity races are set for 2:50 with the females going first. We're going to have a special coffee break from Waveney Park tomorrow at 11 a.m. Tune in and make sure that you get all of the information you'll need for our afternoon coverage. For Kevin Coleman, John Kovacs, I'm Frank Granito. We thank you for tuning in to another episode of Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.